Welcome back to the Convo Couch, ladies and gentlemen. I am Pasta Jardula.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Johnny's on the ones and twos. This is so like funny and laughing.
It's funny.
Well, listen, I just want like a nice jumpy intro where we introduce the fam, everybody here. Johnny is part of our group, and we don't get to see enough of him. He doesn't speak. He is, well, you said that because there's so many people on the chat that say, would this guy stop saying fam? Well, I'm just ignoring you because that's what we are. We're fam, and we want you to join our fam. That's a good, can we use that as a commercial?
Yes, we can.
We got a lot of, you got the dolphin over there. Listen, we got a lovely resort behind us over there and stuff. I don't know. That's kind of crazy. We'll talk about this resort behind us in a second.
Pasta loves talking about that resort.
I do not love talking about the resort. I hate talking about that resort, but that resort is so important, and we will get into the Epstein stuff later. But we have a great show for you today, ladies and gentlemen. We like to send a shout out to the people who are our new Patreons. Every day, people are slowly trickling on in, and we encourage you, if you haven't trickled on in, trickle on in. I got my recipes up there for pastas and sauces. Fiorella has sometimes. If I lose a bet and I have to do push-ups, it's all on the Patreon. So give what you can because we put that money into play. Fam.
Yes.
What are we talking about first? Your favorite person, I believe.
Well, no.
Nance.
Okay, so everybody is up in arms right now about Nancy Pelosi. Finally. I think it took someone like AOC to be attacked for her to be all up in arms. And she has been, of course, the talk of town ever since she decided to defend the Republicans and basically pass the Senate McConnell bill, and AOC and her squad were completely against it. So
who's the squad?
The squad is Ayanna Pressley, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and herself, of course. And
That's a good squad.
It is a good squad.
That's the squad.
They are the freshmen.
Can we get that on a shirt? The squad.
The squad.
The squad. I said that.
It sounds like you're saying squaw. Sorry.
No, squad. Squad.
Okay.
I mean, that's a great squad. I love all those women over there, especially in my favorite.
Ilhan.
Ilhan. That's my favorite. It started off AOC, but Ilhan is my favorite.
Ilhan is totally my favorite too. I think she has a lot of guts. But Pelosi dismissed her power. She said that the fellow progressives they don't have a following. They had
Twitter
4
following.
votes. Well, she dismisses their Twitter following, and she said that they don't have a following in Congress because they voted against that bill, and it was only 4 votes. It was the 4 of them. That just shows you though how much more we need progressives in there. So Pelosi dismissed the power of Ocasio-Cortez and her progressives, and then the 4 lawmakers, like I said, opposed the Senate McConnell bill.
That was the watered-down cheapy bill, right?
Yeah, it didn't provide the restrictions on how the Trump administration could spend the money.
Yeah.
They also protested when the House passed the weaker Senate version with even fewer restrictions, and after the moderates in the lower chamber signed their support for the bill. In an interview with the New York Times, Pelosi said all these people have their public whatever and their Twitter world, but they didn't have any following. They're 4 people, and that's how many votes they got. So she went all in and said all that. And she also was talking about how they're lonely votes against the Democratic crafted bill addressing the crisis. But she also made other remarks regarding healthcare, saying that their healthcare proposals are so far left and just to her out of touch, but really their proposals are right in line with the American people. So AOC went on and started talking about how this was kind of racial. She didn't really say the word racist, but she did say that Nancy shouldn't be attacking women of color. And then she turned around and said, but Nancy isn't racist later on.
Can I ask a question about that real quick? So the audience understands and everybody understands. I think a lot of people are up onto this stuff, but the main cause of the argument started when we talked about it on this show several weeks ago, that bill. That bill's a watered-down bill. In other words, this is a business over here. There are being independent contractors, independent companies like this GEO group who are getting paid millions of dollars, even like $1 million a day to run these facilities. And with this particular bill in the Senate bill, I believe, they just get a blank check as for it. The checks and balances are out of that.
Yeah.
So I believe AOC and the squad, as we now call them, wanted to make sure certain things were earmarked.
Correct.
Inside that bill. And it's the House bill, which was stronger than the Senate bill as far as rights for the immigrants, got washed away. And this fugazi, crappy Senate bill is now pushed through. And since then, there's been like a little civil war erupt, and other things are being brought into this, like you said, like healthcare and stuff.
Right. So
Okay.
basically, yeah, it was the Senate McConnell only bill. So AOC was talking about how in this tweet she posted on the 6th, she said, "I don't believe it was a good idea for Dems to blindly trust the Trump administration when so many kids have died in their custody. It's a huge mistake. This administration also refuses to hand over docs to Congress on the whereabouts of families. People's lives are getting bargained, and for what?" Then she went on and said, responding to Nancy Pelosi, she said, "That public whatever is called public sentiment, and wielding the power to shift is how we actually achieve meaningful change in this country." So she's directly responding to Nancy Pelosi here, something that people were kind of criticizing her for really not attacking the Democrats. Well, this is a moment where she is attacking. And then she went on to say, "I find it strange when members act as though social media isn't important. They set millions of dollars on TV ads to run TV ads so people can see their message. I haven't dialed for dollars once this year and have more time to do my actual job.
That's awesome.
Yet we'd rather campaign like it's 2008.
Yep.
So she's throwing shade at
Throwing
the
shade.
old guard, like the old way of doing things, which is entirely true. And again, I say this again, people dismiss the power of social media. They dismiss the power that it can have in campaigns. They especially people like Nancy Pelosi, who are part of a different era, they don't understand how to deal with it, and so they're kind of like they're scared. To me, this is showing that Nancy Pelosi is simply freaking scared.
You see Nancy like, how do you send the email? What button do I press?
That's literally.
Where's my tweet?
Can you put on a wig and
Where's
play
my
Nancy?
tweets?
Can you put on a wig and play Nancy?
I can
Pelosi?
play Nancy Pelosi, but then I'll
you
be
literally
called
are
sexist
her.
and stuff like that. But, you know,
Well, but,
we have our Italian roots. But once again, it's like, you know, my mom, I sent you an email. I don't know how to get into that. What do you mean it's email? So, I mean, they dismiss the what's what we call, what's the word, technology.
Yeah.
It's changed, ladies and gentlemen. And so many people are on the internet. So many voices are out there. I think you have to have a combination of both nowadays. You have to kind of get out there, meet people, shake their hands, kiss babies. But what goes on the internet is very, very important. Our voice is out there, and we're speaking behind AOC, and Nancy Pelosi is completely ignoring it. But that doesn't surprise me from Nance.
No, it doesn't surprise me, and that's the thing. But so what happens? It so happens that AOC is Puerto Rican, that Presley is African American, Omar is Somali, it's a Somali immigrant, and Tlaib is a Palestinian American.
She's Italian though. Pelosi's Italian.
Yeah, okay. So there was a tweet, I didn't get it, but some lady was like, literally, I thought of you. She was like, but Nancy Pelosi's Italian. She's not a white woman.
Exactly.
And I was like, dude, did Pasta talk to you? Because that's some bullshit right there.
No, but I want to say this. Growing up, I was told, you're not white, you're Italian and stuff. And now it's like I was talking to Nico. I'm like, man, I'm as white as can be, dog, and I'm Italian. So it's like
not only
I can get on all the spaces and stuff. And it's like I can work it all around.
You do not look Sicilian, like, at all. You look like,
fam, don't
like
hate on me.
blonde.
I'm a northern Italian. I take after my father.
Okay. Anyway.
Nancy's persona non grata. Go ahead.
So even Bernie Sanders got involved and said that Nancy was being a little too harsh on AOC. And he said, you cannot ignore the young people of this country who are passionate about economic and racial and social and environmental justice. You got to bring them in, not alienate them. And he's right. Nancy Pelosi, instead of helping usher them in to help the party, she's completely alienating herself from them, mocking them, making them feel like, you know, they're against her.
Yeah.
And it's now, look what we're doing. We're discussing this. We're discussing this little feud between them instead of focusing on the issues. And so then Nancy said that she basically doubled back. And then Kamala Harris, of course, who everyone says, oh, she did so great at the debate. She's so progressive. No, she's not. And this is how the Democratic Party is revealing themselves. This is exactly the good thing about all this is like all of them are just taking the mask off. So Kamala Harris said in a Washington Post article that that's not my experience with Nancy Pelosi. And she said, I've known her and worked for her for years. I've known her to be very respectful of women of color and very supportive of them. And here's the thing, guys. that's because Nancy Pelosi this isn't a race thing. This is a policy thing. And I'm going to go into that a little bit later.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, this is definitely not a race thing. There's an implicit racial bias, of course, because what happens is all these new women coming in happen to be women of color because they're more representative of the makeup in America today. And they are more progressive because, look, Ilhan is a Somali immigrant. She sees the world different.
Yeah.
AOC, she is, she didn't grow up rich.
From the BX.
Ilhan Tlaib is a Palestinian. There's so much tension between Israel and Palestine. And Ayanna Pressley is a black African American woman. Like, you can't deny the things that come with being a person of color, but Nancy Pelosi doesn't hate Kamala Harris. And I made that point even before Kamala Harris said anything the other day. Nancy Pelosi doesn't hate Cory Booker, doesn't attack Cory Booker. Why? Not because they're not black. Obviously they are, but because they go along with her neoliberal policies.
Yes.
And that's what this is about.
Yeah. I'm glad you pointed it out because a lot of people are starting to make it about race and say, well, this is a white. No, it's about policy right now. And yeah, there might have race implications. We talked about this before and stuff like that. But if they concentrate on the race, it's going to take away from the actual discussion of changing the policy. Because this is about, so much goes into this. And like I said, I hope that, I haven't heard Rashida. We've heard AOC. When it comes to regime change, when it comes to foreign policy, they got to get better on that because, once again, talking about all these problems, how they start, we need to get into that conversation, and we don't get there. But if they do make it about race, it's going to take away from the actual problems and the policy that we need to be concentrating on.
Right.
Not to say that it shouldn't be mentioned, but like you said, it's more about the neoliberal policies and the changing of the old guard.
Right. And so Donald Trump, of course, Donald, he went in there and he decided he was going to comment on this. And let's see if he said, so interesting to see progressive Democrat congresswomen who originally came from countries whose governments are a complete and total catastrophe, the worst, most corrupt and inept anywhere in the world. If they even have a functioning government at all, now loudly and viciously, how do I go back? Hold on. And viciously telling the people of the United States, the greatest and most powerful nation on earth, how our government is to be run. Why don't they go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came, then come back and show us how it is done? These places need your help badly. You can't leave fast enough. I'm sure that Nancy Pelosi would be very happy to quickly work out free travel arrangements. Okay, so in this
is the douchebag part.
Yeah,
Donald Trump. What an ass there,
but
man.
Donald Trump is doing this.
That was his base,
yeah,
right?
Let's take our emotions aside out of this for 1 second. Donald Trump is doing this to literally appeal to his base. I'm not saying he doesn't believe that. I'm not saying anything about him.
He's grabbing red meat, fam, and
but
he's just
it's just
feeding
obvious,
his base,
right? Because now, we're like talking about Donald Trump and Nancy Pelosi and AOC, and we're talking about this little drama that's ensued. And instead, we're not focusing on actually solving the problems that are behind that. And so people get so emotional about these things. And then the American people end up losing. So Nancy, of course, pretended that she had nothing to do with this. And this is what I hate about Nancy Pelosi. She's the biggest hypocrite I have ever freaking met. And this is why I know this is all theatrics, especially from Nancy and Trump. This is all theatrics. I'm not AOC. This is not theatrics. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump are playing all of us right now.
Oh, read this.
When @real Donald Trump tells 4 of American congresswomen to go back to their countries, he reaffirms his plan to make America great again. Has always been about making America white again. Our diversity is our strength, and our unity is our power.
Can I see this? Nance. Hey, Nance. You are a disgusting, opportunist human being. I cannot wait till this lady just gets the freaking hell out of there. Johnny, what do you got to say? He's got something.
I'm going to fucking campaign hardcore for fucking Shahid Buttar. Hardcore. Fuck Nancy Pelosi. Fuck Nancy Pelosi. She's so disconnected. Rich bitch. Doesn't know anything that's going on in the fucking world between us progressives and the lower class.
Nothing. It's terrible. Thank you, Johnny.
Johnny was passionate about that.
Because she's such a phony. She's such a fake person.
Yeah, she is.
She sits there and she tells everybody to shut up and go in the corner. And then as soon as Donald Trump actually defends her, and he's defended her a couple times, she goes and turns it around and make it look like it's all about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
She's disgusting.
But that's exactly my
disgusting.
issue. This is I'm going to break down why this whole thing is a problem. It helps no one but the politicians. It helps no one but Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump. What it does is get Trump's base more riled up and more against the Democrats. It gets Nancy's base more to feel like AOC is a problem, and it divides progressives even from the Democratic Party more. However, obviously, we've already been divided because people like Nancy Pelosi are entirely out of touch. Number two, it is not about race. This is about policy. And when we don't discuss that the policies that are at play here, it's a waste of time. People are dying. This isn't something that we need to focus on as far as the dramatics of it all. Number three, Democrats in general, even progressives, are so focused on Trump without connecting this immigration issue to staying out of war. I have seen nothing from any of them.
None.
That, besides someone like Tulsi and Bernie a while ago, that the immigration issue has to do with our regime change wars. And the only other person that has said something about this is Mike Gravel. And that's it. And that's all who's talking about it, but nobody else is talking about it. And that then when we don't focus on solving the core problem, it's a waste of time, because this is going to continue to happen under Kamala Harris, under Joe Biden, under Elizabeth Warren. The only way this is going to stop is if we elect someone that's a non-interventionist, a real non-interventionist, unlike Donald Trump. Yeah. And number four, Americans, of course, then end up paying the price because our issues aren't being discussed, but our politicians on both ends gain more traction. So you're going to see more traction for Trump. You're going to see Nancy's name being paraded around like it is now in the media. And this is all just for mainstream media, like gossip and fodder. Number five, like I said before, it riles up Trump's base. And so he's doing this for votes, obviously. He's empowering himself.
Can I say something? I was just taking notes because I didn't want to stop you, and I wanted to talk later. I think, can you put this up? Can you make these 5 points in a tweet? Because this is very, very important. If you can't do it on a tweet, maybe a Facebook for our audience. Maybe we can put it up. But it helps no one but politicians, number one. She goes, Fee, you just broke this down. Awesome. And at the end of the day, it does rile up Trump's base. It actually helps him. It doesn't hurt him.
Yeah, it does. And unfortunately, AOC did need to call Nancy Pelosi out on all that. I agree with that. But I think, of course, now Nancy Pelosi is taking this and making herself, catapulting herself in a way that is only beneficial to her. Same with Donald Trump. And what I want to see more from the Congresswoman is talking about our regime change wars and how this is connected to the immigration issue. That is one thing that I would like to see for them, because this leads me to my point that encompasses all of this. And I talked about this yesterday. I said, y'all see the alliance forming between the entire establishment against progressives. Mm-hmm. If you for 1 second think that Bernie can do this alone without help, you're wrong. We must unite him with other progressives, Tulsi, Gravel, and maybe Williamson. That's how we beat the electoral system. And this all comes out because if you see Donald Trump and Nancy Pelosi, they're on the same side, dude. At the end of the day, she can say whatever she wants on Twitter and he can say whatever he wants on Twitter for their bases. Yeah. But at the end of the day, look at their actions. Look at who's supporting what bill. Look at who's standing behind who. It is not Nancy Pelosi standing behind the leftists. It is Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump on the same aisle. They are one big aisle. And we are all paying the price. So we need to stop with this idea of Trump, and focus on the fact that Nancy and Trump aren't all that different. Nope. They're really not. Nope. No, they're just, they show they are for their bases. They put out different tweets attacking each other. And if we focus only on that, we're not really focused on the actual issue. So
that tweet that y'all alliancing forming between the establishment against the progressives, if you for 1 second think Bernie can do this alone without the help, you're wrong. We must unite them with other progressives, Tulsi, Gravel, and maybe Williamson. That's how we beat the electoral system. How many likes does that have? That should have a lot. All right, I hope it does, because that is also some great fam. You are putting out. You are slaying. If Randy was here from what was that, American Idol, you're slaying it, dog. You're slaying it. You were really slaying it today. Old school. And I'm glad we went over this, because this kind of brings you out of this stuff. And
yeah. And a lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people are upset at Nancy Pelosi, and rightfully so. We need to replace her. She needs to be primaried, and she's going to be.
Shahid Buttar.
know Shahid is a strong contender there.
Shahid.
And I honestly, everybody thinks that she can't lose. But really, with all of this, I think if we garner enough progressives to at least give her a freaking scare, that woman needs to go. She is out of touch. She doesn't represent the people. And she is attacking members of her own party.
Yeah.
And people need to realize this isn't the outside of the theatrics. This is about us versus the establishment. That's all it's ever been about. Blue or red, whatever. Her and Trump are on the same team. We're not on that team. Yeah. They're on the wrong side.
Like, we talk about the teams and stuff going on, and I want to mention some people. Can I do some shout outs?
Of course.
I'm going to do some shout outs. That was a great session, and once again, it's us, the people, versus some people are going to represent people. Very few Congress people and elected officials are going to represent people.
Maybe it's 4 right now. It'll be more later.
The squad, however, is representing us, and we got to stand behind the squad. So let me do some shout-outs and then go right into the next subject. So over on the MCSC network on the YouTube, we have 253 people watching. If you have time, go over to the Convo Couch YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. We need your help. Nico approves. Sophie Zaldivar said, agreed. You got David Mascella, who's an Italian paisan just like me, hopefully. Alex Fitzgerald, Megan Arborg, Jorge Luis 88, Allison Irvin, Alex M, and Skulldeath 23 are all hanging out on the Convo Couch YouTube. Michael Cruz, he's always there. What up, Michael Cruz? Digital Tyranny, Beverly Jensen, Random Lime, Mike Walker. You guys are awesome. Spread the good word of the Convo Couch. Pound the like button. We love you, Mike Walker. Johnny Z, who's Johnny Tsunami's cousin over there. Fred Edwards, we love you, and thank you to our new Patreons. We are so grateful. On the Facebook, James Brennis is over there, my good friend. I call him James Reagan. He has the Reagan room inside that house where he lives. James Wyatt, Mikey U, Ungie, we love you. We love the song. We love the shirt. Mike Ungie is not only just a supporter and a lover of the show, he's a friend of mine. He's somebody I make pasta for, bolognese. And when you hear another Italian guy say, he's a friend of mine, fam, watch out for that guy.
All right, Vito.
So listen, if you can go over to our Patreon, we would love it, because I'm trying to save up some money to take Fam to this location spot. Fam, would you like to see the island I'd like to take you to? 1 second.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the island right over here.
I'm already making fun. Remember when our name was... They confused the Convo Couch with the casting couch.
Oh, nobody confused that, Fam. That was in your own mind. Stop. No. Take a look at the island. Now our mics are on.
This is new footage.
This is new footage of Jeffrey Epstein's island, ladies
July
and gentlemen.
2019. July 3rd, 2019.
This is like last week.
Like 10 days ago.
You got that good music playing, huh?
Yeah, I love this fucking music.
You like this movie like people like in a horror film. It's creepy.
Yeah, and this could be a horror film. Absolutely.
This is a horror film.
Yeah.
This is a real horror film.
So we get a lot closer look. They get pretty damn close in this new footage. They just dive right into the island.
Now, I think the point of us showing what's going on the island, too, listen, we don't want to let go of what's really happening on over there. We can't dismiss everything. But
look at this.
The symbolism of this stuff. Now, watch what he does. Everybody's like, what the hell is this thing?
What is that?
Take a look, fam.
A sundial? That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's a sundial, but...
Yeah. With weird-ass kind of markings.
Little seashells, conch shells. Why are the 1, 2, 3 so close?
They're just giving quote-unquote conspiracy theorists more fodder by having an island like this. I mean, really, like... It's really strange.
I mean, if I was rich and shit, maybe I'd have a sundial.
Really?
In my backyard, you know?
With weird symbolic
I'd have some
crap and a temple?
I'd have some ink and shit since we're Peruvian, you know?
Some weird... temple, though? That temple looks like...
No, that temple... we got a closer look at the temple.
Someone said that it looked like an Israeli temple.
Well, that's the whole thing, is that when I watched a video the other day with somebody back in Israel, it was kind of like almost identical.
Okay.
And we'll get into it.
We have no idea what the hell this thing is.
Those are aliens. They're talking to aliens.
Look, I think that's just like a grass cutter, you know?
No.
Tracks.
It's not. Nobody mows in circles.
Yeah, this...
It gets creepy.
Like, I don't know what goes on in that. There must have been, like, maybe that was for, like, presentations or something, you know?
But wouldn't you want an elevated stage rather than... I guess it could be like a coliseum.
It kind of keeps the sound in, maybe? Yeah.
What?
It's a pretty island.
The demons.
The demons. I mean, well... God, this is... I hate... this has been, like, kind of unsettling looking into this stuff, because it's like, you hear all these things and these conspiracy theories, and you look into them, and you're like, oh my God, you don't want to go near there. But then you start looking at this symbolism and this shit that's going on, and you're like, what the hell? If it's capable, if the man's bringing in 14-year-old girls and on a regular basis, and like...
And saying, oh, bring me a younger one, that one's too old.
Everything about this island is just creepy, weird, and unexplainable.
You see that little E down there? Maybe that's where Epstein sits or something? I don't know.
Hashtag white people and the crazy things they do.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but...
They were saying that the dome fell off with the hurricane, along with there was 2 sculptures up there. And then you can kind of see in there. You can kind of see in there.
Well, the whole thing is that, I mean, he's going to get rid of everything right away, but look.
Yeah, he's been deconstructing shit.
Everything.
Like,
everything.
Look, you can see the ladder in there.
People don't understand that the Lolita Express has been sold.
Yeah, how? So they can't even use that because he sold it?
Sold it.
That, to me, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Can't you just...
He sold it before he got rid... Listen, he got the jump that they were coming to grab him. And when that happened, he started scrambling. He started getting rid of everything. The whole thing that's really interesting about this case, and we'll get into it, I'm going to point out a couple other things, is that, like I said, this is deeper. This is deeper than just one guy. This is a network, and they have to be revealed. They have to come to light. They have to be punished. It's not that we want justice, so we have to bring out the whole system. We'll never be free of anything until we expose these guys. Now, once we're done with this, I'll explain some stuff to you that will really make you think, because somebody in Florida, one of my connections in Florida, told me something. Pasta, think about it. What he offered up for bail.
Yeah, that's a ridiculous amount of money.
But there's something more to it then, and I'm going to explain that to you.
Like, who could ever afford that except...
Some guy who's monetarily, the whole monetary system which we live in, which a lot of people have a hard time kind of grasping their head around. They think, oh, money is God. Well, money is this thing that everybody tries to accumulate. But there are people who create money. There are people who create the money, control the money. It's just paper.
Yeah.
Okay? So
it's not even that anymore.
No, it's not backed in gold. It's a fiat fucking currency.
It's numbers on a computer now.
That monetary system is the key to our slavery. Sorry. Yeah, look, he's just going around this whole thing, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this because we have to connect all these dots.
Yeah, I wonder what the red lettering means. There's some symbolic. I know there's people doing research online trying to find out what these letters mean.
I just don't understand how they could operate in such a secretive way. I mean, you take a poor person that goes to like the forest in the Pacific Northwest, and they'll fine you if you collect your own water. They'll fine you if you don't, if you try to find a sustainable way of living. But this mother effer can go and get on an island and build his own little whatever the hell he's building, an old little tribe and his own little group and his own little stuff, and like nobody like questions it. Nobody says a thing. Like, it's just...
I hate to say it, but like somebody sent me a video today, and you have to listen to everything. First of all, I like to say, Mr. Orachi, there's not a 20-year difference between me and Fam. Okay, it's 16 years if you must know. Okay, and I'm not going to tell you how long, but it's not 20. But here's the thing, Fiorella. Somebody sent something today from Ann Coulter. And I'm not a big Ann Coulter person, but Ann Coulter was one speaking about this when nobody was speaking about this. And I remember that because, listen, I lived in South Florida. The Palm Beach Post came to my house when I was younger. Everybody thinks it was the Miami Herald that was breaking stuff before anybody else. No, it was the Palm Beach Post. Oh. They were deep in stuff, okay, because that's where in West Palm Beach things were going on. And Ann Coulter spent a lot of time there, so she also talked about it. The thing that she talks about, and people have to understand this, and nobody understands where this guy's money came from. They can't track it. Okay? So this is a network of people. This is a group of people, and it's so important. And I'm going to stay on this case. Like I said, I have people working on it in Florida. And here's the thing, Fiorella. We're talking about what he offered up for bail. Now, the bail hasn't come through yet today. We're waiting to hear what's going on today. We're waiting to get any updating news. Something might be going on. In fact, Johnny, I would say go over to Google and check and see if anything has come through real quick, because it break at any time. If they grant this guy bail or not. He offered up $77 million in assets, his Manhattan place, his new plane, and whatnot. Do you think this guy has the ability to offer cash up? The $77 million in cash?
Do you think he? What?
Do you think he has $77 million in cash he can give up for bail?
I don't know. Probably.
Yes, but why hasn't he offered the cash? Why hasn't he put it up? My friend told me, one of my sources, when I was speaking to somebody who was in a jail, and when they go in, there's two things they think about when they get out. Number one, I'm not doing that crime again. I got to stop doing it. Number two, when I get pinched, how do I move things around so when I get out, or when I'm moving on the lam, or what do I got to do where things are at? The people who are protecting him are now moving his cash around. His money is being moved out, is being moved around. He has an exit plan. The only reason why this guy probably isn't killed is probably he has information on politicians. He has information on public figures, on Hollywood stars, up the yin-yang. And as soon as he's dead, he's got instructions for those people to release that in the world. So right now he's in a holding pattern and holding on to this guy going, okay, we can't just whack him, because if we whack him, there's going to be a bunch of guys exposing stuff. Did you find anything?
Yeah, it says that Epstein is willing to post $100 million of bail. Piles of cash, dozens of diamonds.
Here it is.
And that was today.
Okay, so now some cash got moved around, some diamonds got pulled to him. Once again, somebody was saying that. They're like, why isn't that, there's cash? And I told my source, I said, listen, he can come up with $100 million cash, put it up, they'll have another $100 million for him waiting somewhere else. He's got unlimited pockets, this guy. And we're talking hundreds, Fiorella, hundreds of children, little girls. Let's connect the dots. Listen, I want to make sure you understand who
and
these
I just
people
want to
are.
say something too. Imagine a poor person, like this wouldn't even get this far. They'd be like in jail for the rest of their lives. And the fact that our system allows a rich person to come in and pay an exorbitant amount of money to get out of jail, it's ridiculous. It's not fair. It should be, no, if you've done this, you don't get out on bail, period.
Yeah.
That's how it should be. We shouldn't have different tiers depending on how much you paid. But that's what happens when we have a for-profit jail system, a for-profit criminal justice system that people like Kamala Harris helped put in place.
Yeah.
And
you think about it on that scale, but can you imagine somebody who's protected on high that he can just press buttons and put billions of dollars in his accounts at any time? He can run around doing whatever you want. We reported on the show the other day. He thought he had a global agreement. A global agreement.
And no, he's friends with both the Clintons and the Trumps.
Well, that's the thing. The disgusting thing about this is when this story broke now, and this story's been going on for a while. This is how tribal we are. They tried to make it everything about Donald Trump right off the gate. So I dove into that stuff from Donald Trump from the get-go, and it's really hard to grab him, to pin him to anything on Epstein before 2002. And the stuff he did do before 2002 was just partying or hanging out, whatnot. I mean, for crying out loud, like Fusion GPS, the fake dossier, they tried to connect Epstein to Trump, and they couldn't even do it. You know what I'm saying? And I say this is more about tribalness and partisan politics. This is about an elite group running around, and now they're preying on the most what's the word I'm looking for? The most vulnerable. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, hit it out of me sometimes. The most vulnerable people in our society: young little girls, broken girls. So let's connect the dots. Jeffrey Epstein's main madam, her name is Ghislaine Maxwell. Fiorella, remember the picture you sent to us? Mm-hmm. Ghislaine Maxwell was at Chelsea Clinton's wedding. Okay. There's pictures of Donald Trump and his wife with Ghislaine and Jeffrey Epstein. That's in 2002, I believe, or way before. I think it's, when it happened. But Ghislaine Maxwell has been mentioned as one of the number one madams. Now, we have an article, I believe, right, as well. What we know about Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's alleged madam. Let me just grab that up real quick because there's some stuff. Johnny, do you want to read some stuff? Because I don't have it in front of me. Like maybe just the second paragraph that it kind of explains who she is.
She's a 57-year-old British socialite.
Here it is.
Okay, Maxwell is the daughter of publisher Robert Maxwell. In short, she comes from money. Per the Wall Street Journal, she grew up and attended university in England, then moved to the United States in 1991 after her father fell to his death from his yacht. That's the story, they say. Mm-hmm. The lady, Ghislaine, was the name of the boat. Epstein reportedly used a yacht with the name to transport women from St. Thomas in the Caribbean to his own private island, which locals have nicknamed Pedophile Island.
Pedophile Island.
Okay,
so we know that now that's the number one madam. This woman she's been fingered by many victims. She's been exposed by many people. We know that she's involved in the operation, pretty much. And remember, a lot of this evidence was just bow-tied. It was bow-tied and handed to the freaking commissioner in Palm Beach. But who is her father is the question, right? Now, I have it in the form, I have it in the doc, because somebody put up for me. They said, and I'll read this. Alex Davidson. He said, great job on this, Pasta and Fee. If you want more evidence of the circle of elite psychos being all connected, check out Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, a former MP and owner of several British newspapers and the New York Post. He worked in British's Army Intel in World War II and allegedly became a Mossad asset after the war. Maxwell died in mysterious circumstances. When he is alleged to have fallen off his yacht in the Atlantic. Immediately after his death, it was revealed that he kept his businesses going by raiding his employees' pension funds. Rumors circulated for years that he was not in fact dead, but he had faked his death to evade potential arrest. His funeral was held within the state honors in Israel. Okay, so now we have Robert Maxwell, father of Ghislaine Maxwell. And there's this picture over here we have. Well, this is Robert Maxwell. Now, this guy had deep connections. Not only was he like a mogul that kind of mirrored Rupert Murdoch, because those are the two people in charge of each other. He ended up buying the New York Post and reopening it. He had the Mirror in Great Britain, but this guy had such high connections. Mm-hmm. In fact, in the 60s, on behalf of the Russian government, he lobbied the British government. He was also an MP in the British Parliament on behalf of their invasion. He argued for Russia on behalf of the invasion of Czechoslovakia. So this guy had connections into communist governments. He was also a Mossad asset. In other words, at one time he helped Mossad kidnap a certain scientist that was going to leak secrets about how to build the atom bomb.
Who's Mossad, Pasta?
Mossad is CIA intelligence. And there was so many connections.
Israeli CIA intelligence?
Israeli CIA.
Okay.
The Mossad, they're called. And a lot of people believe, there's been books written by certain authors, and a lot of people believe that the Mossad killed Robert Maxwell because Robert Maxwell was blowing through money in all his businesses. He lived his luxurious life, and he had secrets on the Mossad, and he threatened to expose them unless they gave him money. And they looked at him as someone as a loose cannon. So a lot of people feel that Mossad aborted his yacht and killed him. And there were books written about this, whatnot. There's no doubt that Robert Maxwell had some big pockets. Do we have the, where's it at?
You passed it.
Right here. The rents.com. Okay? And it says, oh my Lord, this stuff just goes down the deep hole. I'm going to go down on work. Our work, supported by documents including FBI reports and secret intelligence files from behind the Iron Curtain, shows Maxwell had worked as a secret super spy for the Mossad for 6 years. Okay? I don't want to get deep into this and stuff. We'll put the link down below. You can read this. But if you understand who Robert Maxwell is, guess what the name of the yacht was that Robert Maxwell died falling off of?
Ghislaine.
Lady Ghislaine.
Yeah.
Do you know what the name of the yacht that Jeffrey Epstein drove his subjects, his victims, because they flew to another island in St. James.
Said earlier, Lady Ghislaine.
Lady Ghislaine. It's the same name. So there's all this weird kind of symbolism and ties to deep state intelligence people within this group. And like I said, Epstein didn't do this alone. And there's so many weird connections when you start thinking, wow, like Ghislaine introduced, Epstein to all these people. Ghislaine was the one who recruited women. Ghislaine was his madam, and that was Robert Maxwell's daughter. So many things are weird that you have to look into, and you have to say, wow, these elites, these upper classes of people that were surrounded by everybody, it's all the same circle. We talked about it. James Comey's daughter is now on Epstein's defense team. Mueller was the FBI director. All these people of intelligence, they're all connected, fam. That's why I say we have a government within a government.
And you're not going to see this on MSNBC or CNN. They're just going to be like, oh, Trump was seen with Epstein and he flew with him, and Trump did this with Epstein and we need to impeach him. It's like, I'm not against Trump paying for what he's done. But at the end of the day, when you only report what's convenient for one side of the establishment, you're trying to fool the American people into thinking that this is red versus blue, when really, look, it's obviously these elitists who do nefarious things, and we have to accept the fact that this country and perhaps this world is run by psychopaths who do disgusting things like this. Because if you go and look into Hollywood and all the pedophilia that's happened, Kevin Spacey's name was on those on that list. So this isn't something that we're making up.
Yeah.
This is something that every single American should be questioning now, not because of the dramatics that are happening, but more so because of the implications that it has, that two recent presidents in the United States of America have ties to this man who seems to have deep ties to the CIA, who seems to have nefarious business ties with other people that are probably worse than he is.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, this is like red meat for the, you know who else has got their red meat is all these people, these conspiracy theorists, and all these people have been hiding down for independent media. You know, I watched a film the other day, and this guy was almost like, he didn't know what to do. He's like, this is crazy because we've been underground, hiding stuff, grabbing stuff off the dark web, bringing it on over, looking at this stuff, just been in the shadows because nobody wanted to take this serious. And now the mainstream media is starting to pick up on this stuff. And as we start diving down these rabbit holes, here's The Guardian in 2002. It said Captain Bob and the Spooks. It says 12 years ago, on this month, Robert Maxwell plunged to his death off the yacht. In a new book,
former Mirror journalist Jeffrey Goodman says he now suspects Maxwell was murdered.
Everything starts to come out of this thing, and you start looking down this stuff, and you start seeing these things for what they are. And let me tell you something. When it comes to Donald Trump, you already had your bullshit scandal in Russia. You blew your load there. Nobody's going to believe you now when you try to make it about Trump versus, you know what I'm saying? You have a of an army out there, but as people start looking at these things, and that's the reason why I'm happy that Trump's tied to this, because Trump was the first person I looked at. Like, you know what I'm saying? I really went down there, but it was like, it's more than that. This is about these elites. What does anything matter down below if above they're pulling all the strings and they control everything? This is time to crumble pull the mask off the shit iceberg and expose these people for friggin' good. Johnny, you got anything to add?
Yeah, this is just the last thing on the topic of Epstein on the island. There's also these pictures here.
These tunnels.
They're pointing to tunnels or bunkers. No one knows what it is, but here's a closer look, and you can see over here the green. That's like an entranceway into the freaking. That could be a storage closet. I could see that. But over here, this is fucking weird. It won't. Yeah. What? That goes directly into the ground. So
like you said, there's
underground bunker.
There's like all these marks and shit.
The Pizzagate people are going fucking nuts with this shit.
They
are going,
know.
and you start thinking about, come on, what are they doing? And please stop with that theories. But I mean, is it enough that 14-year-old girls were used for sex, for molestation, and pawned off now for us to all bring some people to fucking heel?
Yeah.
Because the Clintons are the ones who are super predators, and they must be brought to heel. You know what I'm saying? It's disgusting. Can we read this super chat here? Because I get emotional when I think about this shit. I start thinking about my friends and all their kids.
It's both, though, Pasa. It's not just the Clintons. Because the conservative media is going to say it's the Clintons. The liberal media is going to say
I think it's above them.
It's Trump. It's both of them and above them.
I think it's above them.
It is. They're part of this little cabal, and that's plain and simple. It is both of them. It is both of them and much more.
It's everything.
Than that.
It's the elites and higher. It's the elites and higher. And once again, a lot of times they believe that these CIA assets get stuff they could use people for blackmail, mainly politicians and world leaders, so they can get them to do their bidding. And it makes so much sense. It's like, oh, I got you on film having sex with a 13-year-old girl. You're going to do this. You're going to invade this country when you're the president. Otherwise, we're going to expose you. Gabriel Akari, a $50 super chat on the MCSC network. I can't wait when we get those over here. Couch so we can have steak with our beans.
Yeah, I think we're about a month away.
We're waiting.
We're waiting. Yeah, we're just waiting. We're there. We're ready
waiting
to be monetized. We're just waiting. It says criminal justice reform. Keep up the good work. Regards from Sweden. Hey.
Hi, Sweden.
Sweden.
I need to go visit.
Yeah, I definitely want to go.
If you have some place for us to stay, we'd love to do that. Hashtag Bernie 2020. Hashtag Tulsi 2020. Hashtag Shahid versus Pelosi. I've been saying this from the get-go. We got to make sure that we pull it. And you know what? I'm going to get vocal with those people over there. And if they're going to have a candidate, they got to get one candidate coming out. They can't do this shit again in Nancy Pelosi's district where they get multiple candidates and she goes on without a sweat.
Unfortunately, that's democracy and that's progressive.
Well,
progressives are running multiple candidates, and that's
now they got to get. I mean, if it's not Shahid and you got somebody else, please stand up. Now I know there's another young girl who's been on this show, whatnot. She didn't convince me to support her over Shahid. I don't think she's ready yet, but
no.
That's just my personal opinion. She has every right to run, but I think it's going to come a point where it seems evident if we're serious about taking out Nancy Pelosi, and we got to be serious about taking out the old guard, because the old guard is the same as the new guard. You know what I'm saying? And the Democrats disappoint me because they don't talk about regime change wars leading up to immigration. And like I said, a lot of them, and you know what I'm saying, they've used this as an opportunity, this Epstein case, to just call out Trump and not call out both sides. It's like they're playing politics all the time. Old guard, same as the new guard, and they got to go. Nancy, a.k.a., as Fee would say, Nance, you got to be out.
Yeah, hey, Nance. I just want to reiterate that we need to continue supporting progressives like Mike Gravel and Tulsi, because they should be on that stage and they need to continue to stay in the race as long as possible. Contrary to what some Bernie supporters think, I think that we need them, because the longer they stay, the more delegates they have. And right now, out of all of those progressive candidates, Bernie Sanders is the most popular one. So that could change. But right now, I'm saying this because Bernie Sanders is the most popular one. If we have someone like Tulsi stay in there for as long as possible, they could be a team. Same with Gravel. Same with Williamson. Williamson herself sent an email telling people to donate to Gravel, because she wanted him to be on stage, and the DNC is still going to try to keep him off the stage.
Oh yeah.
But that's why we have to continue donating to him. Not saying that you don't donate to your preferred candidate, whether it's Bernie or whether it's Tulsi, but you also donate to these other candidates, even if it's $1 or a couple dollars. Get your families to do it, because that way they can be an alliance. And if we don't think like this, we are going to lose, because if anything of today's show can show you is that this is all one giant aisle of people that are entirely against the 99%. They're against us. They have nothing to do with us. They're over there doing their nefarious things with all this money. They don't even know what to do with it. They're tied up in pedophilia. They're tied up in corruption. They're tied up in so many things that they're willing to kill people or imprison people like Assange to keep this quiet. And if you don't realize that now, if you continue thinking and vote blue no matter who, or just Donald Trump because MAGA, you're not helping yourself on either end. It's wrong. We need to think for ourselves individually. These people don't care about you. They don't care. They just are going to continue filling their pockets whether you vote left or right. And so we have to stop thinking in that mindset and start thinking in the mindset of how do we organize against this establishment, because there's so many of us. And if we only could just agree on one thing, that is our common enemy, we could literally win.
That's the most important thing. That's the common enemy. Understanding who the common enemy is, not a person, it's a system. And we have to break the system, and that's what Fee is talking about. Beautiful Bernie Bro, John Adams, Johnny Z, the one who knocks. Michael Cruz says the Progressive Alliance. Kung Fu Platypus, love that name. Digital Tyranny said that the DNC is dead to me. You know, it's getting close to dead to me. Ed Marin says, Marianne, we also put some other people out there. Thank you so much. Remember, we have our own YouTube, MCSC Network, all those people involved. Tony watches closely. And on our Facebook, who's over there? Steve Wolbrand, of course. Ungi, I haven't even read your comments. I'll give you a call. Angelica Duenas is with us. Thank you so much. We love you. And Frank Serra is also watching. You got anything to finish up the show with, Johnny? Anything you want to show?
Yeah, real quickly, because we got to get off. China sent medical troops to Germany. And
something else to watch out for.
They did.
China is not our enemy, but they are very much advancing themselves.
Wondering why they did this, so let's watch this real quick.
We begin this Thursday with a first for China and what could be many more firsts to come. And this could have major ramifications for us here in the United States. Well, the People's Liberation Army are staging its first joint medical exercise with Germany, a major NATO power in Europe. This comes as China attempts to establish a closer tie with Europe. RT correspondent Sarah Montez de Oca joins me with the details. Sarah, they say medical, but I think there's probably a lot more involved than just the medicine.
Well, it could be, Scotty. Actually, for the first time, the Chinese People's Liberation Army deployed military personnel and armored medical vehicles to Germany for their first joint drills. Now, according to China's Xinhua news agency, the drill, dubbed Combined Aid 2019, is the first in Europe and is focused on preparing troops with the medical service units to respond to humanitarian crises. State media reported the Chinese and German troops are to execute an international humanitarian medical mission dealing with a medical emergency scenario with several batches of injured people in different locations and also with the staged cholera outbreak. Now, the report states the Chinese side is carrying new medical equipment such as new generation field tent hospital systems, tracked armored ambulances, and other gear to demonstrate the new developments and achievements of field ambulances technology vehicles that were made by the Chinese Army. Now, these exercises began last week and are expected to go through July 17th. The exercise is the second joint exercise between the two countries, though. In 2016, the Chinese and German armed forces conducted a joint drill in Chongqing where the PLA and German Bundeswehr practiced responding to an imaginary earthquake. This was all part of its Belt and Road campaign. Beijing is also trying to expand its global network, particularly by attempting to open numerous European ports, a move that's really attracted a lot of U.S. scrutiny. Retired PLA Colonel told the South China Morning Post, he said that there may be more joint Chinese military activities and not just preparing for crises like these. The PLA in the future will need to go abroad to protect China's overseas interests in countries along the Belt and Road Initiative. Now, he went on to further state if there could be some basic mutual trust and understanding with NATO forces, the risk of potential conflict could be greatly mitigated. Now, China has been trying to strengthen ties with Europe, especially with the leader of the EU, Germany. Now, this also comes as the China-Russia relationship is growing by the day now. Just last year, the two held their biggest military exercises in decades with hundreds of thousands of troops in a show of force. Now, Scotty, this also comes as Washington attempts to pressure its allies in Europe to take a tougher stance on China when it comes to several issues like China's Huawei's 5G infrastructure. But they're also pressuring Germany with sanctions in recent months over construction of a controversial gas pipeline that will go from Russia to Germany, Nord Stream.
Things are changing. The times are changing.
Interesting. So there's a couple things to take away from this.
Yeah.
First of all, they're sending medical troops and medical armed vehicles.
Yeah.
The other thing is that they said that it's for the Belt and Road Initiative.
Yeah.
If people know that China's been making investments in all these countries to help them, build their infrastructure and everything, instead of
with Italy,
sending military and shit. And also the last thing they mentioned was that the U.S. threatened Germany with sanctions.
Oh yeah,
for working with China and Russia, and they mentioned the Belt and Road. So I was like, what the hell is the Belt and Road Initiative? Mm-hmm. So we find this. It's basically, the project is often described as a 21st century Silk Road made of a belt or of overland corridors and a maritime road of shipping lanes.
Yep.
So you can see there how they're going through Russia, and eventually the furthest point they get to is Duisburg and Venice. And I was like, where's Duisburg? And here we can see it's all the way over here in Germany. It's like the west side of Germany. Mm-hmm. And look at how far away China is.
Well, at the
look, it's so far.
Yeah, we remember when people were saying China was the enemy, China is the enemy, and then Lawrence Steiner even says, "I know they shouldn't be the enemy. We should all be getting into this Belt and Silk Road initiative," and that's what this is about. This is about China opening up trade with Europe. They've been cut off because of the United States and Britain, whatnot, and that's what we're trying to do. We're still trying to hold on to our monetary system, our grasp, and we're trying to stop this. They're trying to open up the world to their trade, and let me tell you something, they are really making some strides. Does that mean our enemy? No. We have to learn how to share our global power with them, and
we're like
trying to give them the
selfish child that won't share anything.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it's ridiculous, and if you as an American think it's patriotic to do that, that's only going to bring more destruction. It's going to bring more hatred towards us. America is going to fall faster if we continue on this pathway, because I mean, they're just prepping themselves to function and succeed without the United States, because the United States has always been the world police, and we need to step aside and let people do the things that they need to do to survive, and stop vilifying every country that decides to stand up to our bullying, because that's exactly what it is. We're bullying people.
Yeah.
So.
And then the very last thing, I just wanted to show.
He likes this. You love this.
Did y'all know that the cartel has submarines?
The cartel's had submarines for a while. Now
I
we get to see
that.
Them. Yeah.
Where is this?
Somewhere in the Atlantic, I believe.
This shit's crazy.
So are they chasing them?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, it gets crazy.
U.S. commandos.
U.S. commandos are chasing the submarine.
Yes. I don't know why the sub doesn't go down. You know what I'm saying?
It's probably didn't know how shallow it was and stuff. It didn't want to ground itself, because if it ground itself, a lot of subs don't go too low in certain areas because it can ground. And if it grounds, it hits a hole, and water comes in, and it's done. And at that time, he's probably still protecting his drugs. Look at it.
Yeah. So
crazy. It's crazy. So that's all we got for today. It's 3:30. Yeah. We got to get off the line. We got some people doing some things. You want to do some unpacking? Johnny, where are you going tomorrow?
I'm going to Florida.
He's going to get to go see his
You're
Molly.
Going tomorrow?
Tomorrow's Tuesday.
Oh, tomorrow is Tuesday. Oh, yeah.
Johnny's
time flies.
I forgot today.
And where you going?
Huh? I'm not going tomorrow. So
no, she's not going. But listen, we're going to be probably doing some videos, chopping them up. You'll see the fam at different spots. We got a lot of things in the work. So if you have a chance to go over there, leave a couple bucks on our Patreon, please help us out, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to put that money to work. We really are. We are really seizing opportunities that have come across us, whether it be the debates, the KDM convention, and great stories that are going on. It's a pivotal time. So help us out, and we'll get the information out there. We will work for you. Anything to add before we get out of here?
No. Just have a wonderful rest of your Monday, guys.
For Pasta Jardula.
And Fiorella.
That's Johnny Tsunami.
Convo out.
Peace.